All right. So all this time that we talked about, and I'm talking about Shanto, I'm talking about Socrates, I'm talking about myself, or anybody else on YouTube that you watched, they talked about you should do this, you should do that. They talk about, the task assignments and all that stuff. But how does all of that task gets managed? That's probably something that you're wondering. How do you get your assignment? You start your day in the morning, and how do you know what you have to work on, and how do you know your manager is going to say, hey, there's a deadline for this specific task, right? For that, there is multiple tools out there, and one of the tool is Jira. And what I'm going to do is today just demonstrate Jira, and we're gonna, excuse me, we're gonna build pretty much the Jira project from scratch. And we're going to also create user stories ourselves. We're going to create um, test cases if we need to. We're going to create bugs. And from today to the next class, what I want to see is that all of you guys creating bugs and stories for practicing. And I will give you guys this assignment on how you create your task and then get it to done at the end. So there are a few tools just like this, Jira, and I'm going to name few. So now if I name few of them, you can confidently say they work pretty much same. So a car from point A to point B, we need a car to go from point A to point B. They have the same purpose, right? Now, if you get a BMW and a Honda, it doesn't really make a difference. It just gets the job done. So similar to that, all of the tools that I will mention here, these are popular tools, but they get the job done. So if you know Jira, you will probably be able to use those tools as well. And matter of fact, Jira has more complex functionality. So Jira is more complex than the other tools. So if you use Jira, you might be even better at the tools that I will be mentioning right now. So one of the tool is Azure DevOps. And this is not like the DevOps that we talk about. DevOps is a specific position in a software development team, and they are responsible for setting things up for you, right? But the Azure DevOps is the name of the tool, okay? So if you don't see the whole thing together, don't get confused, okay? So Azure DevOps is the tool that is a competitor for Jira. Okay? And Azure DevOps is not just gonna do you little things like, for example, managing tasks, but it has a lot more to it. And so is Jira. The next one is Rally, okay? Rally is, let's say, cousin of Jira. Obviously I don't want to say this, but it seems like somebody looked at Jira and then created Rally, and they missed few important things that Jira has to offer. But I'm just guessing, okay? Don't take my word. All I'm saying is Rally and Jira is very, very similar, okay? If you use Jira, then you would be able to use Rally. The next one is HPALM, okay? Now, HPALM and Jira, there is a little bit difference, right? HPALM can do whatever Jira can do. It's just that this HPALM tool has also test case management built in. So you can actually write your story in the same place and then also write your test cases in the same place. It's just classifying into different folders. Now, HPALM became famous for test case management tool, right? So their requirement management, or let's say user story management, really fall behind where people really buy both licenses. A company will buy Jira and ALM both. Jira they will use for user story or requirement management, and and they will use ALM for test case management. Who knows what ALM stands for? Management tool. All right, so that is what it is, right? Application lifecycle management. Now you may hear something like this. This is the old name, okay? 2009 they renamed, I believe 2009 or 2010, they renamed No, actually 2011 they renamed, I believe. They renamed it to ALM, but it used to be Quality Center. And I myself learned Quality Center in the very beginning. And there is a position such thing called ALM admin, right? So your job is to set up ALM and provide access to the entire team or companies. Whenever somebody joins new, you give them access and so and so, right? So now you may say, wait a minute, this is a position. How? All I have to do is sit down and give people access, like, put people into the system, and that's it. Yeah, because a company can have many projects and it can have, hundreds of employees, if not thousands. And, some of them will be new and they will need help. Some of them will create tickets, say, okay, I cannot do this or I cannot do that. I need help. And you'll be supporting that. So all of these three have admins. So if you join a company and they said, oh, you know what, why don't you just manage Rally for, and become an admin. So all you're going to do is get people's email address in, send them an invite so they can join. And I'm going to show you how to do that, that part. And obviously, it's not necessary that you have to have the admin experience to be a QA. Okay, but you get to see that very quickly. It's not going to be too much of the details. I'm going to run through it quickly. So these are the tools that you want to know. The other one is Monday, which really came in like recently, like the last few years. And I think their marketing tactics really helped to have Monday.com to be out there. And many I would say modern companies love Monday.com is because, so there's something new. It's just, obviously better and faster than other tools. And they must have done something better. That's why they are out there actually making business. So Monday.com has a lot of colors and a lot of ways to tell what story and where, and assignments and, alerts and all of that stuff. Now, all four of these tools will give email alert. So every time you get an assignment, you get an email. How many people don't check their emails, right? So at work, you want to make sure you don't ignore emails. Not you're going to ignore some emails because let's say this is related to group, somebody's inviting you to lunch or whatever, happy hour, anything, anything that you really don't want to pay attention to. But when you see DevOps saying, or Azure DevOps is saying, oh, your story was assigned, or HPALM, or Rally, and then Jira, then you want to pay a little bit of attention because these are the tools that does assignments, right? And they will give you a deadline and everything. And you can even track progress daily basis. You are assigned to a story that may take 5 days, and you can start to add tracking like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours daily basis, because it's not necessary that you will work full 8 hours for the day. You will do some meetings. So your meeting may be 6 hours for the whole day, and then 2 hours of work. That's it, right? So that's how it goes. There are companies that will say, okay, we do 50% meeting, meaning half of your day is considered as meeting. So as long as you spend 5 hours on work, you're good to go. So just keep that in mind. Nobody's going to expect you to do a full 8 hours even after the meeting, right? That's not your responsibility. You spent the time in the meeting for the company. So, all right. So with that said, all of these tools, right, does the similar thing that we were going to be doing. And then all of these tools are going to be in your resume. Okay, so these are surface level information I provided just to make sure that you know this. Now, Jira is something that you're expert on. If somebody says, do you know Really? You're going to say, yes, I did. I used it. And, Jira and Really has a lot similarities, and recently I haven't been, using Really because my team uses Jira, and I can tell you more about Jira. That's it, right? So you don't have to go into the question of this. And they know, whoever's going to ask you the question, they know what exactly you're gonna tell them. Anytime they ask you a question about DevOps, you can always divert them to Jira and say, hey, Jira and Azure DevOps are very similar. I use Azure in my past project. Unfortunately, current project I'm using Jira. I can tell you more about it, right? And then you can go more into details about the Jira. Okay. But honestly speaking, if you are a person with the right mind and you had coffee in the morning and you sit down and and you never seen Jira, you can probably learn within the first half an hour. Okay. Jira is a software that was created for people who will use the software without any training. So that's why there is no training for Jira. Why am I showing you then, right? Is because you have experience, right? You will have experience. There are relevant experience going to be on your resume. All of the training that you're doing is going to reflect in your resume. So that's why you have to see it to kind of believe it. See it to also be able to tell them a story. How were you able to do your job? All right, so let me go ahead and sign up first. And so we're gonna get a free cloud at this point and sign in with a different account because we already used this one. Okay, another account. Okay. I'm gonna probably look at this demo one. I'm gonna use a company account, maybe that's better. So first you need like a company account, right? So we're gonna use our company account, dedicated tech academy.com, and I don't need the password. Okay, so I'm gonna sign up. Okay, see all images with bicycle. So this is okay. All right, and guys, feel free to speak up because again, we don't want to make this like. All right, let me just go into my email real quick and. Okay. I'm gonna quickly stop sharing and then come back to it so I don't share the entire screen. 1 second, guys. Just gonna log into my email real quick so we can continue here. Okay. All right, so I am logged in. I'm just gonna share my screen one more time. Okay, all right, cool. So it's doing its thing. All right, so now that we are here, and I'm gonna go to my Gmail real quick. What? Why is it like that? Sign in. I thought I was signed in already. Okay. Goodness. Okay. Cool. This is logging me in. Okay, eBay Tech. That's fine. All right. Trying to see where the email went to Kajira. Welcome to Jira. Okay. Did you guys do Jira class before? Seems like you guys did, right?
No.
Oh, you guys didn't? Okay. This is probably from another
No.
class. Okay. All right. It didn't send me an email. Okay, let me just go ahead and let's see, Jewel. Dedicated Tech Academy. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and try with another email real quick. We just need any email should be fine, actually. So SF, whatever, I'm gonna use this is like whatever email. So I just, by the way, to teach you guys a cool trick, if you ever need like always needed like different kind of email, you can always do a plus for Google, and whatever you write is ignored. It will always send you to the right email, even if you type whatever you want. So if you go to Jira, And I use it for testing sometime because, like you don't want to create an email all the time, right? Okay, so let's see. Licenses. Okay, got it free. Next, looks like I was already logged in. So let's see. Site. So right here, I'm gonna give a name. Dedicated Academy. I'm not gonna say tech. Let's see if it's there. Okay, this name is taken. Dedicated T Academy, maybe still taken. Your site name must be 3 or more lowercase letter. Okay, so it cannot be uppercase. Okay. Okay, perfect. So dedicated academy, I'm not gonna even give any, like, let's see if I can do T. Let's see TECH. If it might be taken, but oh, it's not taken. Okay, that's good. All right, so if you were the admin for Jira and if you were setting up, the company would probably give you their credit card and things like that that you can use. So now it's going to say, what do you use Jira for? So we're going to say software development, right? What is your role? So obviously you want to put yourself maybe like DevOps if that's who you are. But in our case, it's QA manager. Let's say you are the QA manager, and then it says, what are your main tasks? Security, no. We're gonna say testing and quality assurance, and next, right? And this is just to give them a feedback where the software is being more used, their software. So it's just basically things that we don't want to. Okay. So now at this point, we want to create a project, right? So let's say we are testing an application called, so we got Facebook, right? But let's say Facebook never existed and I came up with an idea and I'm going to call like Friends Book, right? I don't know, it might not be a good name, but Friends Book, for example. So I came up with an idea and now there is a prefix, which is called key. So usually like this letter will be added to all of the story and task that is being created. So as you can see, you can actually choose how this letter should be. So because it's Friends Book, I may want to say FB, right? Something like that. And you see if I fall under the guideline. So let's see. Choose prefix for your project. You should key. Okay. So it looks like I am following the guidelines. So I put FB, Friends Book, not Facebook. Okay. So that's what I came up with. Facebook doesn't exist. Just make believe for the next couple hours. So I'm going to go ahead and create this. Then it will say, select some of the tool now that help you connect them later. So if your company uses Slack, they will have Slack integration right away. Something changes, it will provide Slack notification. Then there is Jenkins, Zendesk, and other things. Zendesk is usually for IT support. If there's any tickets or things like that, that will come directly here. But we'll talk about that. Even GitHub can be integrated here and many more things, Google Sheet as well. And it's just a tool for pretty much you can do anything in terms of task. So I'm going to skip that for now. We don't do any integration. So it says invite your teammates. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to invite you guys, but not right now. Okay. So let me just go over some of these features, and then you guys will have 2 weeks to play with this version. We're not paying for anything, but we can actually get the license if we need more than 2 weeks. Okay. But I don't think we will play more than 2 weeks with Jira, right? It's not a tool where it's so hard for us to learn that I need more than 2 weeks. So yes, but anybody needs it more than 2 weeks, you can do two things. One is that if everybody needs it, I'm going to buy the license. If only one person needs it, I'm going to just get you a new email address so you can just go ahead and create yourself one to play more with that. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this. All right. So right off the bat, it's took me to a nice dashboard, and now it's taking me through how many people can tell me what these are. Whenever we go to a website for the first time and you see this is something that, okay, I should get you guys familiar with, because then you can say the right terms and right names. So what do you guys think these are when you see in a website? As soon as you log in for the first time ever, you will not see this again. And you're taking a tour. What do we call this? Anybody know?
I mean, I'm not really sure, but my guess would be a welcome message.
It's kind of like welcome, because I mean, obviously this is a welcome message, but whenever you see something like this, take a tour, and then it one by one takes you to different places of the website and tells you, click here, do this, do this.
Oh,
That,
sorry,
yeah.
is it like a parameter, sort of?
No, that is called overlay, right? And what it does is that anybody brand new using the application guides them to give them a little bit of guided tour of the website and say, hey, here these things are, and here that things are, and this is what you can use, and this is what you can use. And the reason why like there is not a lot of emphasis on Jira training is because it's a tool for general public, it's a tool for you and I and everybody else, where you can just use it for a couple hours and you'll be good at it, right? But when you first sign up, you're going to see that, okay, take a tour. So let's take a tour together and I'll explain what these are along the way. You don't have to read this. So I'll save you some time. All right. Um, the first thing is that, okay, I thought it was going to guide us, but it's just showing us these things, right? So I got to keep clicking to go over. Okay. So the first one, create a project, right? In Jira, we already created a project. Our project name is FB, right? And that's why it has a board. We're going to also customize this board, and we're going to add all of you guys, to this project so you can continue to do your work. As you can notice, everything in Jira, for example, issues, anything in Jira is called issue. Okay, that means you can create a bug, that's the issue, but what is the type of that issue? It's bug type, right? If you create a user story, that still is an issue, but the type of the issue is a story. So you are going to see the type of issues, but anything here, we're going to call them issue, right? Any card you'll see, any, task that you're going to see are, as a whole, we call them issues, but and all of them has their own unique name. So we'll talk about that. There is sprint, there is workflow. I don't know if you guys remember, or if you guys went through any of the classes for Agile yet, but if you didn't, I can explain. Did you guys do any Agile classes? Then I will actually include Agile here, a brief overview of Agile, so that way you can understand better in terms of these tools. So we didn't cover Agile, right? Okay, that's fine. So that is something that I will also cover. That is something that I actually enjoy covering. So not a problem. So we got sprint. Sprint means a short duration of time, which means like it could be 2 weeks or it could be 3 weeks. Okay. Workflow means what happens if I take a story from here to here, and what happens if I take it from here to here. What does the story to, how does the story changes the state or the status of that story, or even the issue. You can create many projects. So that means when you join a company, click on the project section. For us, it's just a single project, but you'll see hundreds, right? You'll see hundreds of them. Now, do you have to look through 100? No, you just mark the one that you are assigned to, your team, your project, and you just basically just go into that project, and that's about it. You don't have to worry about other projects. All right, then we have Kanban, right? Kanban is another way, another board. So we have Agile board and we have Kanban board. Kanban board means you will continue to have to do list, and developers are going to continue to put it into in progress and get it done. And the tester will pretty much do their part, and it will continue to move. There is no short duration or nothing. A Kanban approach doesn't mean it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It doesn't mean anything. You continue to work. As long as you have task here, you continue to work and get it done, get it over to this side. We will customize this because this is not an accurate reflection of a real team. This is just the way it came, right? Out of box, this is how it looks like, and but we'll fix it by clicking on this and create more and more columns. Let's go into the next one. We're just going through what Jira is guiding us to learn, right? The next one is says, identify a small chunk of work. Break down a goal so that way you can recognize, assign, and move work forward bit by bit. In Jira, chunk of work are called issues. I just described to you guys. Everything in Jira is an issue, okay? So anytime you break down your work, you have an assignments, and whatever you do with it, and you create it here for tracking purposes, that's an issue. And there are different type of issue, right? One is user story, bug, and task. And there is another one called Epic, which they didn't mention. Epic is basically the bigger version of user story, meaning it is like a whole essay, and user story, think like these are paragraphs within the essay. Um, the next one is you can invite your teammates. This invite in a real world, in an actual work environment, doesn't happen from you. Okay, this happens from the admin, somebody who actually is responsible for managing Jira. So your manager will reach out to them and create a ticket, and therefore they will say, hey, here's your access, or here's an email. So you go into your email, you sign up with your name, we're using company's email address, and you're good to go. So any questions so far? So far, so good? Okay, cool. So try to interact. It also gets me encouraged, right? So now next thing is connect your tools. Connect your tools is that you are allowed to get apps. Your company will probably have to buy these apps and put it into this tool. Some of the apps are Slack. Slack is free. You can connect. Teams, I believe, is free. GitHub is free. But there are some apps that will be paid. And we're going to probably try to add one app that is going to help you with test cases. But the reason why you add those here is because you want to basically get notifications. Slack will give you right away notification whenever you move a task and say I'm done. It'll probably send it to the person who's tracking through Slack and say, hey, here's your task and it's done. This person did it for you, right? So similar to that, GitHub, there are communication that happens between the tool and GitHub. GitHub can let Jira know that, hey, this story is done because I already have the code on my side. Okay, so a lot of the things, these are more proper automation, I would say. Jira can make things happen. All right, so next thing is app. So many time is that, I don't know if your company will give you the access, but 50% of the company out there will say, it's okay, you can sign in from your iPhone or whatever. And then there will be another 20% of the company, they will say, call the help desk in order to use your phone. I would recommend stay connected by all means. If you have an iPhone or Android, call your help desk and tell them, I would like to connect my phone. I would like to use my phone for email and notification. Is it okay if I, log in from my phone? Is it okay if I connect to Teams from my phone and things like that? They may send you a token. They may send you some sort of setting where you will have to download. And now that company will wipe out your phone if you, let's say, somehow you left the company, you didn't even care, or whatever, or something happened. They want their, they will basically remotely wipe out your entire phone, right? It's not a bad thing, but also, I'm just letting you know how things are. But the good thing here is that you get the notifications. They only track few things. Like whenever you go into VPN from your phone, meaning you're using company's network, then they will track. Otherwise, they will not track anything at all. So if you're only using for notification purpose, like, Teams and Jira and other things, then, I don't think you'll be tracked. And nobody has time to track you. But if you, let's say, visit websites and things that you're not supposed to, and even if it's your private phone and you're on the company's network, and I'm just saying company's network means company's private network, which is called VPN, virtual network. If you do log in through the network and you visit any website and you're not supposed to, either it will block it for you and it'll say, hey, you're not supposed to do this, or it will notify the IT team in your company and they will probably reach out to you. Um, but if you do have this kind of connection on your phone, just have the VPN off if you know, if you don't need it, you know, and then just do whatever you need to do. That's still your private device, that's your phone, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I like to stay connected. I have right now I have 4 devices, 4 different phones, and it's not just me. One company gave me 3 phones. All of them has this, you know, notification. So when they go off, all of them go off at the same time. I don't mind it. It's just way to stay sharp and be able to get things done. All right. Um, with that said, this is just the tour. We already finished the tour, what Jira has offered. So I'm going to go in depth with the project. I'm going to explain how we can make it better. And by the way, the last time that I did a demo of Jira and now significant amount of changes that they made already. And even my company were using the old version of Jira. So, so I will sometime I will probably have to read out some things since they made so much changes. Okay. So the next thing is I'm going to go through these tabs and I'm going to go through on this side and we will talk about those first, and then we're going to modify this board and I'm going to make it better and then start assigning task. All right. So if you click on your work, so let's say you started your day, you just don't know what it is that you want to work on. You started your day, you click on your work, anything that assigned to you will pop up right here. You can actually go and click to go to work page directly. So when you open up, everything that belongs to you or assigned to you will be here. Whatever you viewed last, whatever you assigned, anything that you assigned, anything that you actually started working on will be here for you to quickly find it and do whatever you need to do, right? It's supposed to make your life easier, not harder. So always you can use this your work. If you want to see, like, let's say your manager, you for whatever reason you didn't check your email, but there are assignments coming under your name, you can find them here and you don't have to go back and open your email and start reading and start clicking on the links. Okay. So this is how you find it. You can do view all projects, so anything at all. If you have 100 projects here and you're assigned to many things, you will see it here. Okay. So and you will probably see that by the end of the class, your name and your assignments and everything, because I'm going to set that up as we get this demo through. The next thing is the project, right? Project, you can create a project. Now, obviously, you're not going to have the permission to see this where it says create a project. You're able to view it and you will only see the project that you're assigned to. Sometimes you might see like more than one project. It doesn't mean that, okay, they forgot to, take your permission off. It's just that they maybe want you to just view only for not to contribute, but only to see it, and that's it. So you're going to see 3, 4, 5 projects, but then keep in mind the company may have a lot more projects that you're not seeing because of permission. The next one is filters. Filters, you guys already know it. Filters is basically you can create a report through here by using filter, and we'll use that when we have more when we have some user stories. I'm going to probably create a demo project. But when you say filters, you have advanced issue search and you have the view all filters. So I'm going to show you how advanced issue search works. This is called JQL, right? So right now, let's switch to JQL, and this is just going to simply give you to start typing just like your just like SQL, right? So there is a language called JQL, which is for Jira specifically to find stories, to find tasks, to find issues, right? I'm going to go back to basics. What I like to do is that I don't want to call myself an expert on JQL. So what I usually do, I use this filtering to find my items that I'm looking for, anything that I want to look for. Let's say it's a task and a status, maybe it's done status, and then assigned to somebody, right? And then I do a search and nothing comes up, but because we don't have anything, so we'll see that later. Now, if I click on JQL, it gives me the actual query that I can probably send it to my coworkers, right? Or what I can do, I can just go ahead and copy this link and send it to them, or I can share this search by email and say, hey, this is the search. So why do we even do this, right? It's because let's say you want to know John, who's your coworker, how many user stories he worked for the last 2 weeks. Sure. So then you assignee, you're going to find John and you're going to say things that went to done. You're going to click on more and you then want to select dates. Okay. So updated date. Your manager will probably do this to you and say, okay, how many user story this person finished the last 2 weeks? Okay. And they will do their search. Not everybody does it. Not everybody's so, micromanaging like that. Nobody's going to micromanage like that. But if I was your manager and let's say, for some reason I haven't heard from you for a while, and then whenever I speak to you, you seem like you're taking days off and busy and all of that situations, and people are complaining, I will say, okay, sure, let me go ahead and see what it is the last 6 months. I don't want to judge you for 2 days. I don't want to judge you for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I want to see what happens overall the last 6 months, and I can actually come in here and create a query and find anything and everything that you worked on for the last 6 months. Now, in a company, why is it so important is because all of this data being saved, and they also back it up numbers of time, is because auditing purposes, a company gets audited quite often. So if they're basically pushing stories to production, and that created an issue, and now there's an investigation to find out what's really went on, they can go to the Jira and find out exactly what day it was tested, what day the screenshot of the test case was added, what day the task started working, and who was the person who working, you know huge numbers of data that they can look into and do more investigation, right? But I don't want to scare you guys. This is nothing for investigation. This is to make your life easy, but it saves anything and everything that you do, which actually helps not only you, but also your management, upper management, to make decisions like maybe promotion, maybe firing, maybe some bonus, right? So they can actually use this to see maybe they want to recommend you for the next higher up in the role. So this is where the filtering is. We're going to use it once we have some data created. Let's go into dashboard. Dashboard is a, let's say, what do we do in dashboard, right? So if you go to view all dashboard, there is only one default dashboard here, but we can actually create a dashboard and say what I like to see after logging into Jira. So I can say Jules like list or something, right? And I can say this is private to me. Nobody else was gonna see it. I can also share if this is helpful. And now what I can say is, what do I need to see, right? I can start adding things. For example, right here, I can add activity stream. That means what's going on with my project, who's working on what, anything and everything I can, it will basically show. So if I do this, let's see, okay, nothing is there. So we're gonna see that later. What is assigned to me? So I can see anything that is assigned to me. So I can actually customize the dashboard to show me things that I care about, okay, in work, to become more and more and more efficient, right? So in this dashboard, you can customize it for yourself, for your coworker, and then you can then share with them if you like to, or you can keep it private for yourself, so you're more proactive than other people, right? The next thing is people. People is basically, when you click on it, I don't think you will see this, right? Because you don't have the right permission. So people is something that is like your managers will see, but you are seeing here because everybody logged in as admin. So now if you click on people, you're supposed to see all your teammates, all of them, developers, QA, and they will have proper titles, so you know exactly who to reach out when you need help. The next one is apps. We didn't add any apps, so I'm going to go ahead and explore. I'm going to go ahead and add an app for us for this project, which is going to help. There's something called Ziffer, actually, Ziffer, I believe, or Q-test. I might just add Q-test, actually. Q-test sounds better. Okay. Q-test for test case management, right? So we're going to add that. It's free, so why not, right? And then we're going to learn how to use this by the time we are getting to it. So Q-test is one. There is a few other app in Jira that you can add, which does test case management. for you. Now, tell me something. This is a question for you guys, and somebody can answer this. Why do you need to manage your test case? You know, let's say you wrote your test cases somewhere. Why there's a need for management of your test case? Anybody wants to try this? Let's say you have 2,300 test cases in your team. Okay, and everything on Excel. What is the struggle there, right? So think about that. Somebody has to open those Excel sheets one by one and know where things are, where is the test case, you know, which one. The searching is a nightmare compared to using a tool that will pretty much list your test case just like this, as you can see right here, and it will tell you what passed and what failed and when, right? And it will tell you who wrote it. It will tell you when that person executed the test case, and it'll give you an overall progress and summary and total numbers of test case. Think about it, right? It's significantly different when you use a tool for the specific reason and purpose. So this is how the test case will look like. This is the reports that you can share after you say pass, 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 your test case verifying this, verifying that, and then it passed, and you mark pass, and then you can say, okay, these test case passed, right? So yes, there are people even till now write test cases in Excel. The problem here is that with the Excel, it is okay if you write 100 test case. It is okay if you write 200 test case. But when you have 1,000 test case and you write it in Excel, that's going to be a nightmare. So that's why in a larger team, larger company, in a larger project, we want something more. We want analytics. We want to see the status of the test case. We want to know how, you know, if they're being executed and who was the person who was executed. This is called RTM, Requirement Traceability Metrics. And interview question again, right? So what RTM means is that you're tracking how many users, how many test cases you created from a requirement, if they pass, if they failed, who executed them, and many more information, right? And this is built in RTM. You don't have to do it yourself. If you do it Excel, then you'll have to do this analytics yourself separately and manually, which takes a lot more time. All right, so let's go back to the project real quick. And so we just learned all of that. So now anytime at this point, anytime at all, if you want to create an issue in Jira, what do? Let's say you want to create something. You can obviously, you can see some already like a clue, right? So there is two ways to create issues. I guess like there's many ways. So I'm going to go and kind of explain those as I pretty much face them. But there's two things that you can see. One is create an issue and the other one is create. If you click on create, it will say, hey, okay, fine. Here is a template. Go ahead and fill it up, right? What do you want to create? This is your project. You can select which project you want. So this is our project. The second thing is, do you want a task? And maybe no. Do you want an epic? Maybe no, right? Do you want a story? Do you want a bug? So notice the issue type is missing here. So I'm going to go ahead and add some issue types because then we can use it. The other thing is that where is QA in progress? Where is QA done, right? This is a progress board, right? And this board will be your everyday thing that you look at. And people will look at this board every day and ask you questions. What did you do yesterday? What you're doing today? And if there is any blocker, any rings any bell to you guys? Like, you know, these three questions. What does these three questions stands for? And when do we do it?
Daily stand-up meeting.
Exactly. So daily stand-up meeting is when we talk about those three type of, you know, question. And it's because we want to, and we will be using this progress board. So let me go ahead and add this progress board, right? So make believe this is a brand new company, brand new team. This is your first day, and everything that I will do, it will only belong to this company. When you join a company, and this is a disclaimer, I'm saying it very quickly, is that when you join a new company, it will be different because somebody else is doing this, right? I can customize it the way that I want to, and I'm going to customize it the way that I think it should be. but then it doesn't mean somebody from another company, they will follow the same, right? And they probably have their own reasonings. So just know that anything and everything can be customized here. So first thing I'm gonna add here, this is in progress and then done, right? The next thing I'm gonna say QA. So ready for QA, for example, ready for QA is 1. I'm gonna move that if I can. Okay, maybe later. Okay. The next one is, I'll just rename them instead of moving around. Before, it would allow us to actually, let me see if I can do this before. Manage workflow, manage configure board. Okay, there we go. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Now I can actually like move it wherever I want. Okay, that's good. So ready for QA is 1. Then we have in QA, right? That means in testing, right? Or in QA, whatever you want to name. So if your company calls something like in testing, that's really up to the person who's selecting the wordings. But in my case, I would say in QA. That means right now you're working on it. Okay. And then the next one, actually, I'm going to go back to the previous view because that automatically adds the relevant, status, which is good. And then we'll come back to this view later. So I'm going to go back to the previous view. So in this view, it actually adds few things. It does few things in the background that I'll explain to you guys. But let's go ahead and create it. So for each of this column, there is a status. When I go to the other view, it doesn't add it. But in this view, it adds automatically, which is a new feature of Jira. And it's a great thing because I don't have to do it double the work. So I'll go ahead and just do it here. So in QA is the next status, and everything will make sense by the time we, we write some stories and do some task. Okay. And then ready for UAT tester. Who's a UAT tester? Who could be a UAT tester? Do you guys know? Done. So finally, developer is a UAT tester. And why do you think that?
Because when they create any application, or they need to test for themselves.
Yes, but when do they do the testing? Before or after? Before QA or after QA?
No, before QA.
Okay, so UAT is after QA, right? No. So UAT is before QA or after QA?
It is after QA.
Right. And okay, so let me go into the other view real quick, and then obviously there will be a lot of learnings. So we can talk about those. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this over to the other side because done should be last. Okay. And okay, that's good. Now it probably makes sense to do in progress, ready for QA, in QA, ready for UAT, ready for release. Okay. And then lastly, done. So save changes, and I'm going to go back to my board, friends book. Okay. So this is your board. I'm going to create a story. Remember, we're building a Facebook, right? We're building Facebook. We made sure that it doesn't exist, right? So the first thing Facebook is that. So let's write some user stories, features. So in our case, this is manage issue type. So I'm going to go in and probably add some issue type. Okay. So let's see, how do I do that? This is different than what I am used to. So let me just go ahead and quickly do that. Task and then add issue type. Okay, there we go. So you see, like we got subtask, task, epic, but we don't have story. So we got to add these two, which is missing already. So I'm going to add story, and it was already there. It's just that by default, it doesn't get added. Okay, so now we are in business. So this got added. By the way, if you are the Jira admin, your life is much easier if you do get a job into Jira admin, which is I don't hope you're gonna get it, but I'm just saying if you ever have to, you can actually do this. Okay. So now I'm gonna create a story, and I'm gonna say it's a story, not a bug. Okay, and I'm gonna say as a FB user, I would like to sign up for new account, right? Now think like I'm your BA right now, right? And okay, let's go to the backlog actually. Project board, okay. I gotta go into the view all projects. Okay, that's fine. Okay, project page. Didn't I just create that story here? Okay, I'm just gonna say this is a sample story, and then we'll fix this title later. This, and then where is the save button? Okay. Let me just do a refresh. Maybe that's gonna help. It didn't help. Okay. I'm gonna go to roadmap because that's maybe one of the reason. So when you roadmap is basically, I mean, we didn't talk about this, so we'll talk about it. I think the roadmap is needed before I can create a story. So roadmap, think like epic, right? Roadmap is actually an each one of them are going to be an epic. Epic means a bigger story. So for example, user will like to sign in to the application, or user will like to sign up, meaning register for a new account. And that is an epic. How many people can tell me why that is an epic? Why is it such a big story? So Facebook is being built, right? The first thing we chose is this, and we can actually put a timeline to this, and we can say the deadline and things like that. And we can add labels and other things, but we'll first talk about epic first. How many people understood epic? What is an epic? If you know what is an epic, tell me why this is such a big deal. Why this signing up? Isn't it easy? Just go in and you sign up for a new account. It's small. It's only maybe a few test cases, or do you think it's going to be thousands of test cases? Somebody tell me something.
I mean, I would assume it would be thousands of test cases. That's why using this would be easy.
Right, it's big because for a developer to implement sign up, they need to build the backend, they need to build the front end, they need to build the UI, the user interface, and they need to think about the analytics also, meaning the login to track how many people signs up and from where, right? So, and then also the security comes in, because now you're able to sign up, you're able to enter data directly to a database which belongs to FB, Facebook, or Friendsbook in our case. So it's such a important story, which is epic story, is that it will take a while. It will take a very long time. And out of this, I can cut it into different pieces for a manageable, task. So we're going to take the epic and we're going to basically make it manageable task. And the next one, after signing up, allow user to log in, right? Login could be like 30 to 40 test cases, right? And then we'll create stories under that. Allow users to add new friends, right? Allow users to post new story in there, right? Why such a big deal about this is because they can post so many kind of story. It could be a picture, it could be an image, it could be a GIF. So there will be a lot of cases, and then developer need to not only, and this is not for testing only, right? Not only they have to think about the back end, how all of these different kind of scenario will be implemented, but also need to be tested, right? So that means what? Remember your SDLC. Don't forget your SDLC. So for each one of them, what do we need from the begin with? The whole 5 or 6 steps, right? We have to have the requirement, and I'm writing requirement right now with you guys. So this is a requirement which doesn't have the detail yet, right? So we need to add the detailed description, right? And I'm going to say to do, and once that is done, then design team will go ahead and use this to create a design. After the design is done, developers will go and write some code, and then we will do the testing, and then we'll pretty much go into the board after this to basically imply that. All right, so now that we created some epics, obviously I don't want to create more and create the entire Facebook, but at least these are good to look into to begin with, to basically for learning purposes. And let me go ahead. So this is, we're looking at the board, that's fine. What I want to do is that development code. Okay, so this is where the GitHub gets connected. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this real quick. So GitHub gets connected. So whenever a developer writes code, you can actually see the code. You can actually read the code and understand what it is that they did. If you have some experience on writing code. So get the habit of reading code. You don't have to understand at all to begin with in the beginning, because merge means you're going to see code is merged. That means he's ready for testing. That means he's already, the pull request merged. That means the code the developer already created is already went to the environment that you're going to be doing testing. So you don't have to ask him the question. You can just look at it, the status from here directly from Jira, if that's gets connected to GitHub. Now let's see, actually, this is getting a bit, okay. So now let's see, we can actually add roadmap to this. So I can say April to May will be this one. And I can say this one will be done on this month. And then this one will be done by June. You know, it will take this long. And this one will probably take. So this is just this is called roadmap, meaning like, you know, just visualizing when things will be done, right? And these are bigger topics. So not only you, but your manager and everybody will talk about these bigger things and say, oh, sign up is going to be done by next month. And this is going to be this and that. And this is where you're going to see your team is spending time and say, okay, we're supposed to finish by May 21st, and today is June 21st. And we're not able to finish it. This is really, you know, we're behind with this one. We already promised this was going to be done, and so and so, right? I'm just giving you guys some visual pictures here. Now I will create a story. Okay, so remember, with many ways we can create. So the next thing is, these are the epics are there. So we'll talk about the epic in a bit, but let's create a story. A story comes from epic is because why epic is the bigger story, like the, you know, and that's where we're going to break it into smaller manageable pieces for rest of the team. So for example, user can, this is probably like from the last time I did. So user verifies user can register for a new account, right? And only record information. So instead of that, I'm just going to say register for an account. This by itself will create a lot of test cases. Now I'm going to write my story, because story and a requirement are same, right? So I am a BA right now writing you a requirement, and this is how I will write, and this is how as real as it can get, right? And I'm going to say feature, I'm going to write it in acceptance criteria, and it's called a criteria. Okay, both of them I made a spelling error, even though I write this all the time. Okay, so now acceptance criteria happens something like this. We use Gherkin syntax, meaning we use given, when, and then. So we write it like in this this specific format. Feature, we just describe like the objective, and then we write given. Remember cucumber? Now all will probably make sense. And then, so the VA will write this is because they want to help you, right? They're writing your acceptance criteria in Gherkin, so you can literally copy and automate them. But not only that reason, it's just that when they write in Gherkin syntax, the requirement, it becomes very much user point of view. And so it's easier for developers and QA to follow through. So that's why you'll see BA will write their user stories in, you know, acceptance criteria. And you're free to take this and modify it for your test case. Okay, it doesn't have to be copy paste from here. Okay, so now first feature is that allow user to sign up for new account using only required information, meaning anything that is not required, they don't have to put it and they can still sign up, right? So given user is on the sign up page when user enters only required information, then user should, let's say, see welcome message, right? For example, anything like welcome message, or let's say welcome, something like that, welcome to FB in our case, right? Something like that. Okay. And now this is your one. I'm just gonna take the keywords and highlight them to make it more readable. That is just scenario one. So isn't it your life so easy, right? You don't have to even think about the scenario because BA is doing the thinking for you, and you did your scenario one. Now this story has many more scenario, because allow user to register doesn't mean only user will only use the required information. It's going to be the next scenario. So I'm going to keep on writing. So I'm a BA and I'm going to keep on writing the scenario. The next one is allow user to sign up for a new account using all information, all of their information, right? And then this is the same thing. And now similar to that scenario number 3, and I will not write any more. We can write many more if we want to. Allow user to sign up for new account using, let's say phone number only, for example, and then this, and then an email address only. I'm going to probably write 4 scenario and then we can call it a day, but I can write more if I need to. Email address. All right, so this is a user story as real as it gets, right? And I created it, and now this is the ID, right? So we can go into the user story and we can see that this is what they want us to work on. And so you will see that, and you're going to basically say, okay, working on it. For example, you can update your status and things like that. But when you're done, you can say QA completed, for example, no issue found. Here's a link to the test case. Here is the link to the test case. And then you provide the link right here, something like that, right? So now, do you really have to do this? It really varies company to company. Some company is going to say QA pass and save, and you're done. Nobody's going to ask you any other questions. But you need a comment here before you can close this, is because of the auditing purposes. Or sometimes they will come and say, hey, maybe like 5 months later, somebody reach out to you. Story number FB5, were you when did you test this? Were you, did you do this and did you do that? And you're going to be like, 5 months later, I don't know. But if you wrote something, you'll say, oh, wait a minute, exactly on April 6th, I posted a comment, QA pass. That means I have done, I have tested on April 4th, everything worked fine. I don't know what happened now, right? So this is also covering your trail. I would always put a screenshot of what passed and what failed. Now, for example, you're testing this, you found a bug. What do you do next? Who can tell me what do you do next? You just found a bug. You're executing this developer. Okay, let me go back to the board. Verify user can register a new page. I'm a developer, let's say I put it in progress and I'm done. And I said, ready for QA. And you are the person who says, okay, I will test this. And you put it in here. That means you are testing. Okay, you are testing. Now, while testing, you finished, you cannot move it to ready for UAT. You found an issue. What do you do next? I'm gonna open up the story now. What do you do next?
You're asking what you do next after you report it as well?
So I mean, like, let's do one step at a time. Like the first step that you do after you found an issue. So you're testing, you were caught by surprise, you thought it's gonna pass and you're good to go and you can close it, you can move it to UAT. But somehow you realize the scenario number 4 is failing, right? You use email only, but it says, okay, you need phone number also, right? To register for a new account. Now this is failing, clearly a failed, right? What do you do next after that from here? And by the way, test case, let's say you are doing manual testing, you're going to be writing right here. So you click on this guy, and now you're able to add. So you see there is no test assigned. You can add some tests, but we'll go into that later. I don't want to confuse you guys. So go ahead and tell me, what do you do next when you find an issue? You know, you're, let's say, on your 5th day of work, you got your first assignment. This is your story. You did the first 2-3 scenario. You're happy. Wow, it's passing. I'm going to be able to complete at least one. But the last one just kind of failed you. And last one is like, oh, failed. Damn, now what should I do? Do I just leave it? You know, and I'm going to tell you a real story. Somebody, I'm not going to name the company name, but I'm one of my roommate long time ago. When he finds a bug on a story, he would just leave it. He would not test it. He will just leave it as is, and he could move on to the next story. So you can close, and the person next who's going to find bugs, they will have to deal with the writing the bug and following up and doing all the other bug lifecycle that we talked about. And he just didn't want to do that. This was his story back then. I'm talking about 2013. But sure enough, 2016, he came to me for a job, right? And you may say, okay, why wasn't he working at the same time as you are? It's because, you know, some people try not to advance in their career because they're comfortable. And obviously I helped him and he's working, but that's a true story. With that said, I already gave away some of the answers. So what do you do next? You found this bug. What do you do?
So we open a case like to say that there is a bug. I mean, I forgot the term, like we create the bug to send it to developer.
So we create a bug. So let's create a bug. I'm going to click on bug. Now, when you create a bug, there are a few important things. Summary is like a single line, right? You have to write what happened and where, not like application not working, like something like this. Application is not working as expected. Even like the spelling mistake right there, 2 spelling mistakes, and you just say application is not working and create. The problem with that is everybody's going to look at the bug and they're going to be like, oh, what is this now? You know, and they'll probably even say, okay, you shouldn't do this because you're a QA. Spelling mistakes are not acceptable. We're hold to a standard because we're keep telling them they're doing, you know, there is an issue. So when they find issue with our stuff, they will be laughing. They're like, oh, look at that, QA is making a mistake. So that's why you have to put yourself to a standard and always, you know, check, you know, always use some sort of tool. I use like Grammarly and other tools. It's nothing, no shame about that. You know, you just want to make sure that you're doing your, you know, work right. I read my email 3 times before sending. Why not, right? I could send it in the first try, but then there might be some issue. There might be some spelling. There might be some grammar issue. So that's why as a QA, you always test your work, even if you writing an email to your manager.
Right.
Right.
Here, I have a small question here. So before starting bug, do I need to call my BA to inform that there is a bug, or I just need to create bug issue?
So that is a good question, is because really is cases like based on what you're dealing with. So now if the acceptance criteria tells you explicitly that you should be using email only to register, but then it requires phone and email both, do you need any further clarification? That's my question, right? I don't think there is a clarification needed. You will create the bug. Now, if there is a problem such as, let's say the scenario says any user, right? Or user can just go and log in. And now you don't know for sure if the user has an email or phone number and things like that. There is an ambiguity there. There is a confusion. There is more than one possibilities to the situation. Then you ask them and say, hey, did you mean phone only? Did you mean email only? Did you mean combination of both? What do you mean? Right, that's when you ask the question, you clarify, and then you write this scenario yourself separately. So that way you can include it in your test case, and then you do the testing, even if they didn't do it the way that I just gave you, like all of the scenarios. Testing, like all this critical thinking that you will apply for your scenario, you will be asking those questions. There will be series of meetings you'll attend where you can just keep saying, like, before even writing the story, they will read it to you and say, hey, so we want to see if user can register using register for a new account. And now you can say, okay, what are the information that are required? What are the information that they need to enter to get an account? Once they get an account, how long it takes for them to be able to log in? Is it instant? Is it takes few seconds? We need to know. What about the phone number? Can they use phone number? So these are the questions that you'll be asking in the very beginning, so that way when you're doing the testing, you already know what you're looking for and what kind of scenario that you will be looking for. But over time you'll get better. I think what's going to happen is that even if you didn't ask the question, developers will ask the question because they are the one who's going to have to implement. Okay. And you just have to pretty much work with the developers, and whatever question they're not asking, you just ask yourself something that is more important from your side. Okay, so going back to the original issue, which is we wrote the user story. Once the user story is done, something failed, we can click on create, and we can say that it's a bug, and we can, the summary of the bug, the first line, this is like, we want to say what happened and where. So you're going to say in one line, what happened and where. So you're going to say user is not able to log in using email, phone number only, or email, whatever. We'll just make believe email only from registration page. So I'm saying what happened and where. Page. I'm saying exactly what's going on. I'm not saying application is not working. I'm not saying user cannot register. So so think about it. You are a developer right now. Close your eyes and think like you're a developer. And I'm a QA and coming and telling you, Fatima, user cannot register. What question can you ask me, Fatima, after that?
If user cannot register, in that case, I have to figure out.
No, let's say you're the developer, right? And I came to you, I'm like, okay, user cannot register. So you're gonna first like, what did you try? What kind of user are you talking about? What information are you like, what it is what is the problem? Tell me, I just registered like a second ago. What are you talking about? These are the questions coming from you. And I'm like, oh, wait, but I tried to log in, but what did you try with? Can you tell me? And then I'm gonna say, well, I tried with email only. Like, okay, so that's not what the user, bug is saying. Can you be more specific in the bug? And that's that's going to be your response to me. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm so sorry. I'll do that next time. Thanks. And that's it, right? And that's, like, it's going to be frustrating for the developer because like, okay, wait a minute, the whole thing is not working. What are you talking about? Just, you want to narrow down to the problem. I would say the good way for you to remember this is that what happened and where. That's the first thing as a summary of a bug. Then the next thing is description. On the description, there are really, really good information that you need to provide, and you can probably get some clue by looking at this. Number one in your description should be expected result. What were you expecting, right? What were you expecting by doing such things? Sorry, I lied about the expected result. Let's go in. Number one is steps, okay? What are the steps did you take to get to that point where you saw that bug? So you're going to say steps are, number one is going to be like, go to register page, whatever, right? www.fb.reg.com, something like that, whatever is the website name you come up with later. Then enter all information, for example, but leave phone number blank. That is your step. Expected result is user should be able to register using email address only, right? What happened? Actual result. What happened if you, if that didn't happen? What really took go on? So the next thing will be user entered all, or I enter. You can even use I instead of user, but if they address everything with user, then you will do the same. User entered all information and left the phone number blank. System did not let the user register for a new account. Okay, so that is actual result. Now the next thing, right? What other things is important in a bug, right? These are few things. This is a interview question. So what are the things that are important in a bug? Bug needs to have a summary. Bug needs to have a description with steps to reproduce. So the step to reproduce meaning how do we recreate this bug? So step to reproduce, expected result, actual result, and screenshots, right? So we need some screenshots to show that you're not lying. Meaning it's not about like lying, but it's like if developers can come and say like, no, it's not happening, it's not happening. And you feel like you'll feel like you're lying or something like, why would I do that? I mean, I wouldn't lie, but there is no evidence that this is exactly what happened. Maybe they fixed it, like within like a couple of minutes, as soon as they noticed that you created this bug. We don't, you can never, you can never trust people. But let's see, I'm gonna show you something. Okay, Mac users, maybe you guys want to download this. It's a very good tool for it's called Lightshots. It's free. So now let's say you were testing and you want to create a screenshot. So I'm going to just go ahead and create a random screenshot from here. For example, this is what's happening. Something like this. And I'm going to point out the issue. Okay, you see, this is how in this corner, I wasn't able to log in, and like, something I can even put like, let's say, was not able to log in, whatever, log in or register, same thing. So this is just for demo purposes. So like I could probably take a screenshot of something else, but I just needed a screenshot. So I took a screenshot and I'm providing it right here. Okay. So I just provided right under, and now I am ready to submit this bug. But the thing is, I want to assign it to the developer, right? Whoever worked on it. So suppose this guy actually worked on it, so I can assign it to this guy. Then I want to provide a label. Where is the area of this bug is taking place? So it could be like, let's say, registration. So I can create a new label if it's not there. So register is a new label. So I'm going to create that. And then I can actually put more screenshots here if I need to, if this blocks another story. But now this is the determination that you have to make. Are you currently blocked for this bug, for the story that you're testing? Yes, you are. So you're going to go ahead and say is blocked. This one blocks, select the issue, and this one blocks the 5 right here. Okay, this story gets blocked by this bug because this bug needs to be fixed before we can test this story. Make any sense? Anything? Because I'm going to ask you guys right after this. Anybody want to ask me questions before I move on?
Yeah. Then what is blocks? Sorry.
What? Sorry.
Link issues. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, linked issues. Block. So you're driving and somebody is in front of you and you can't drive anymore. What at that point, aren't you blocked? So you're testing and you cannot test anymore because why? Because you have a bug. So think like, I'm not saying like general, like real life issue, right? So bug is a person and you're the driver when you do the testing, right? And you can't test because this guy is right in front of you waiting. You need this bug to be finished. How do you say the user story is done testing when there is a bug in the user story? Okay,
here blocks mean I pause the project. I pause the test case, right?
You basically wait until the bug is finished.
Yes.
This bug is worked on, but you in the meantime work on other stories, because it's not just a single story, right? You can also provide versions of the version, maybe app number 001 or something like that, whatever is the version of the app. And then you want to see the browser you're using. I'm using Chrome, for example. and you can provide more information. And this is again as needed base. Whatever I have given you here is the best practice. You need to include this thing, but when you join a team, you're going to notice your coworkers doesn't even include this. They're just saying it doesn't work at this. Everything that I noticed, I guess everything that I said not to do, you'll see some people are doing it. It's because, you know, two things. One is that they're so comfortable with the team is that everybody knows exactly what they're talking about. Instead of providing all this information, they can simply say registration page, email address not being taken, for example, right? And that's it. That's the one line bug and done. Developer understood and they just fix it and they send it back to you and done. So what happens is after some time, the team gets more and more and more knowledgeable about the application, where you don't even have to provide more information on the bug. But there is a negative thing, because if you don't provide more information and maybe like a couple months later, the bug they want to fix the bug for any reason, they don't want to fix it right away, then that's going to be an issue, because now they cannot reproduce. They don't know what did you do to get to that bug. But I would always encourage you to follow this format, or at least do something better. If you include this information plus other information, then it's great, you know. The other thing to note is that this is an interview question. So if they ask you, what are the important elements in a bug? Who wants to answer this question? I can guide you. Okay. Anybody wants to answer this question?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can.
go ahead.
So when I write bug, so I need to type this bug, then read summary and write description. In description, I need to write step, then expected result, then actual result, and screenshot, version, and the last one is browser. Then I need to write blocks, and where I send this, I filled up the blog, and also if I want more at screenshot, then attachment, okay, linked issue, blocks 85.
So linked
That's
issue,
it.
let me explain to you, because I mean, everything that you said, if you said the same thing in an interview, I would believe you, right? I would just take that answer as a positive. Now, linked issue is that you basically link it to whatever is the cause. Sometimes it's not just blocks. It could be like related to, because the reason why the developer wants to know why this guy is responsible for this bug, right? This story, because of this story you're testing, this bug came up. So if the developer actually sees the story, they can go back to the story also and see what it is that they need to do. So that's why, and if you're going to block the story, right, I'm going to create it. And if you're going to block the story, then you might want to tell them what is blocking, right? But aside from blocking, you can also do related, you know, why is it related to, and what it is that it is related to, you can actually change. Now I can show you what happens when you click on that, right? So now if you go in here, and you'll see a few things different. You'll see that linked issue showing up right here. This is actually blocking, see, is blocked by this guy. Okay, this bug is blocking the story. If you go into your board, you can see that this is the story, and the bug, you're going to see the bug is still in here. Nobody worked on it. You see like how the screenshot even showed up here. This is a new feature. That's why I'm kind of smiling. This is not how we see things as of right now, but future, maybe like when they upgraded. But as you can see, like this bug is waiting here to be done. So when the developer moves it in progress, and then they fix it ready for testing, then you're going to do two things: test the bug, and because you already tested the story, you're going to go ahead and move the story over to done, right? Because you already tested the story. You already tested the bug that was under that story, because you already tested before. It was just the bug that you need to test, right? So then now you can move the story and the bug at the same time once this bug passes. Okay. You can choose to retest the whole entire story if you're suspecting that this bug fix can create more issues than good, right? So just keep that in mind. Any question? So far, so good. Okay. Okay, that's great. I'm gonna start adding you guys. I'm gonna make one of you guys admin. maybe few of you guys admin, so that way if I'm busy, you guys can add other people when they message you. But so let's create more issues actually. So I'm gonna create a task. Task is something, it's not a story, but it's like sometimes you don't do testing on task because it may be configuration setup. Let's say setup, let's say dev environment. That is my task as a developer. You don't have to do nothing on it, right? This is a task right here, okay? And then I will create, let's say, story. Okay, so 2 more stories are there. Obviously, I have to provide, this is the best example of the user story. I just created this 2 as an example. And throughout the 2 weeks time frame, what happens is that a story moves from here to like all the way done, and it goes for release. So in the daily stand-up meeting, when the stand-up meeting starts, the Scrum Master is going to start by bringing this board up, okay? And he will say roadmap. He's going to say, okay, we've been making significant amount of progress on the epic one, and we're close to done and things like that, like whatever you guys did as a team. But then he's going to go back to the board and he's going to say, all right, one by one, he's going to start asking questions. And how does he know who to ask first? Is that he might start from, let's say, this side. Okay, he might start from here. So if this story is, let's say, here, I'm going to create an issue here. I'm just going to say something, I don't know, user ready for release. Okay, user something like username criteria. Something that we create a guideline of, and then let's say, oh, it doesn't even allow me to create. Okay, but anyway, so let's say there's a story here and it's assigned to, I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to just use this as a prop here. So let's say it's assigned to somebody. So I'm going to start from here. Obviously, these things are done. I don't have to talk about. So I'm a Scrum Master. I started my daily stand-up meeting and would say, hey, good morning, all, and happy Monday, whatever, Friday, whatever is the day. And then I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to start by the board this morning. And let's talk about what is ready for release. This story is done completely, seems like. Is there any question on this? And like, no question. So who's actually responsible to answer this? Whoever did the UAT, they moved it over. So now UAT person, who's like maybe the product owner, is going to say, oh, yesterday I finished testing on that. UAT seems to be good. I worked with the QA guys and they gave me all the screenshots. Things are good. So I moved it to ready for release, right? So that's what they're going to say. Now let's say, make believe there's another story here. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to say, okay, so I'm going to move it to UAT. Looks like there is a story in UAT. How far are we with this? And now whoever is the assigned person, I'm going to ask that question and they will talk about, well, I have 2 stories assigned to me. Yesterday I did maybe 20% of FP5. And today I'll try to complete that and move it over to ready for release, right? Then you make believe there is a story here in QA and you are the person who's in QA. And they will come to you and say, okay, so tell me, let's say Famida, about this story. Is there anything blocking you? What is the status? Then you're gonna say, well, yesterday I had 6 meetings. It was back to back, and I had very little time to work on this, but I did get started. I just finished my test cases. I'll be executing that today. And if there's no bug, I'll be moving it over to UAT. All right. So you're going to just literally drag and drop it here once you're done. So similar to that is going to be ready for QA and blah, blah, blah. All of these, whoever's name is going to be responsible, whoever is going to be assigned to this one. So now this is just this one way for one company, right? This is just the one way for one company. I want you guys to expand your mind because everything that I'm saying is going to be, team specific. Whatever I just described is a team specific based on a company, electric company in PA. All right. Now, another company in New York based company, what they do is that and because I work for many companies, I can tell you is that what they do is they start their stand-up meeting and they will first choose like the QA manager, right? You're gonna say, okay, like QA manager's name Mohammed, for example. Hey, Mohammed, so you can go first. So Mohammed's gonna come in and like, oh, great progress. I can see that, you know, this person and that person, they did this much work. We had a release and everything went fine. I'm so happy. I just want to thank the team. So today I'll be focusing more on the meetings, try to give you guys more update and progress, and that's it. That's my day. So that's how he's going to talk about. And then right after that, let's say he will nominate the next person, right? So Mohammed is going to come back and say, well, all right, so I choose, let's see, you guys somewhere. So let's say I choose Arifa next, right? So Mohammed says, okay, Arifa, you can go next. Or he will say, hey, I'll pass it to Arifa. So Arifa will unmute herself and say, hey guys, so good morning. Good morning to all of you guys. Happy Friday. Yesterday, I worked on user story FB6 and FB7. I was able to get the stories, the test scenarios executed. I did find 2 issues. I'm working with John. He'll fix those. Once he fixes, I will then move it to UAT. Other than that, I'll be working with Mohammed today, try to see if there's anything else that I can work with and get some help him with more of this QA task, right? Then Arif will say, well, hey, so that is all from me. I am not blocked aside from those bugs. I can work on remaining stories, but I will then pass it to Fatima, right? So then it goes to Fatima next, and Fatima then unmutes and does the same thing until everybody's done in a team. Now, the best practice here is that 15 minutes and it should be over, right? But it's some of the teams, they purposely take beyond 15 minutes, like an hour sometime, because that is the only meeting they have, is because they want to make sure everybody is clear, everybody gets what they need and move things forward. But if a company has so many meetings for everything, then they may have only 15 minutes of stand-up, right? So, you know, pros and cons. So just keep that in mind. I hope this helped to visualize a little bit of role play here. But then the next thing is, okay, so let me just move this over. So do you understand, right? Like literally you start your job and you use this board all the time. You know what's ready for testing, so you don't even have to ask your manager. You can start working on, take your ownership, get it done. Right here in QA means you're going to follow everything we talked about in STLC, right? SDLC and STLC, remember? So now you're going to do everything. When can you say you're done QA? You're going to do SDLC, meaning you're going to understand the user story. You're going to write your test scenarios. You're going to write your test cases. And then once all of the test cases are executed and passed, you then consider that this is done. Some company will say we want screenshots. So we will take screenshots of everything that passed, and then we will move it over to UAT. UAT guys, they will look at the screenshot and say, wait a minute, everything seems like how I described and how I wanted it, right? And then they will then say, okay, it also passes my expectation, and then it will move ready for release. UAT is the person who originally wanted the feature to be done to begin with. And the business analyst will say, okay, how do you want it? And then they write based on what they say, their ideas. And then it goes to pretty much, you know, to do from to do, it goes into progress, it goes in testing and all of that. So these guys are the end customers. These guys needs to be happy with the features that the whole team is working on. So keep that in mind. UAT testers doesn't mean that it could be somebody, well, depends, right? Bigger company have UAT testers just like you and your rank and then like that. So you can treat them as QA kind of, but UAT tester are somebody who is a product owner, somebody who knows exactly what they need, and they will make sure that it meets their expectation. All right, so now I'm gonna work on, because I want to make sure I have enough time to give you guys access to this to play around for the next couple days. What I will probably do, I will do another class because I think it wasn't enough, right? I will probably do another 20 or 30 minutes for my next class and just explain more. But I hope that these this class clarified most of the Jira situation, because we're not going to cover Jira as much as we need to, because it's a tool for managing your task, right? There's nothing that we can do, right? It's not like we're gonna customize it and we're gonna write some code in it. So it's not like that. All right. With that said, I'm gonna start giving you guys access. If you can put your email address on the chat, I can easily go ahead and give you the access, and this will be faster instead of typing. So they see, like, I'm just gonna add your emails, and then you guys are gonna be fine. So I'm gonna look into the chat real quick, and you can get your hands on it. It'll send you an invite, and then yeah, so I'll be waiting for you guys to send me the emails. All right. Yeah, so again, guys, as a reminder, as we giving you guys access to this, as a reminder, is that group study, I think if you like somebody that you work with, continue to do so on your own, right? But you're not required to work in a group, because there are downside to that. The upside was that you learned something new by working with somebody or as a group and simulate the real world situation. But also, I think there is more downside than upside, is because I don't want people's because it's kind of like, if I'm working and you're trying to get to me and I can't get to you, it's annoying for you, but it's also annoying for me, because I feel like I need to do my job, right? How am I gonna, pay my bills and things like that? So so I understand from both sides. It's not a blame to anybody at all. It's just that, if we can work individually, that's not a problem. We'll do that, but there will be a group project. There will be a group project where you can actually choose to work with whoever you want to work with. 1 second. Okay. So if anybody is missing emails, check your emails immediately. If you're missing it, I will be sending you guys, and I'm going to start making you guys maybe like admin, so that way you have more access, so you can explore more instead of okay. And this is, again, this is a tool you're gonna use every single day. Okay, every single day. The other thing I would say, we're like literally maybe a couple months away from marketing, meaning a couple months away from getting a real job. And I can tell you guys this much, is that when you're out there and you're applying for jobs, let's say hundreds, if not, a couple hundreds per week, you're gonna get interviews every day, like at least 1 or 2, right? And we only need 3 total interviews to get a job, and that means you pretty much got to bring 3 interviews, and we will help you to get 1 job at least out of all 3. And that is because we're gonna do trial and error. You're gonna fail some interviews, but then you will pass few. What really happened here? Okay, I don't know if everything got added, but I'm gonna try to redo this again. Okay, this right here. Okay, so that is that. And the other thing I want to, like, I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording. I think this for today we're good.